Hello. Hello, hello, hi. It is me. It is I. Small Town TD, your Khadian DJ for internet and I'm back. I can't find my cardigan, so I've got like a little throwy thing here. And I'm trying to keep hydrated. It's one of you trying to see if you can see what it says there on the cup. Good luck with that. I can tell you they're cousins. Very close cousins. I'll say twins because they're rhyming names. Kitendi is my girl's name, okay? And we move. Okay, I want to talk about Ice Spice and Cleotrapa. I I'm not like that into the music because I'm in my own life is tough type thing, but I'm not like who's that? Like I'm aware of who these two ladies are, these two young ladies are. Cleo's gone on social media and told us what like transpired that led to the fallout of her relationship with Ice. And it's brought about a lot of conversation online. I'm going to find the video I watched because it was long, about 45 minutes. If you have the time to play it in the background while you do whatever, great. You can play it in there and hear her telling of what transpired and stuff. There is also like a recording somewhere where um Ice is downplaying her experience, and that's why I believe Cleo. I believe Cleo because of Ice's response. Like Ice to me is why I was like, this girl. They went on tour together. She was like Cleo was invited very last minute by Ice to go on tour. They fan bases know that they are allegedly friends, so it's very cutesy, very demurty, and the girls. It was supposed to be a good time, but she's invited literally the day before to be the opening act for Ice. I don't know what happened. That in itself is a red flag, I feel, for most of us, but it's her career, so it's tricky. Like, what you gonna do? Say no? Like, she's like, let me go make the best of it, especially because I'm supposed to be friends with this person. We're gonna talk about that friends word that we girls throw around very like, like it's cheap or whatever. But it's like it's always sad when you see it, but it's also like I'm not the type of person to say shh, like don't air us out like that, our dirty laundry in the public. It's like it's a hard as a person who's so big on friendship and so big on sisterhood in particular to have to watch like story after story of like the girls went on vacation and they mistreated each other, or one of them was particularly targeted and ill-treated and bullied, or somebody's a mean girl. And I don't believe that we're all supposed to get along. I'm not that person who's like, why can't we all just get along? Because I've gotten around a bitch or two and I'm like, my energy just does not. I don't want to be mean to you, but it's like we're not, it's not going to work out properly over here. And it's okay. Like, I'm okay with that. I don't believe in us and all of this. We can all just get along. It's not a thing. I don't believe in that. But in the instance that girls were friends and then these kinds of things happen, because friendship breakups are such a painful thing. Like, they are a really, like, they stab. Hey, I shared with you guys maybe over a year ago at this point. There's a video where I talk about the mammy dynamic. That was my friendship dynamic with this particular person whom I'm no longer friends with, and whom I don't miss. It's important to mention that. So in that it's like that breakup in particular, I think happened over such a long period that when I finally cut the cord on my end, it was nothingness there. Like I didn't even feel this great sense of loss like I have in the past with other friendships. Like I had another friendship breakup that really, really hurt me because that bitch was wiling. Like in all fairness, a boy was involved. Can you imagine? No. Like not a we both like him. A boy was involved, and I dared to say something about like the type of dude he was and why are you messing with a person like that? And then she decided to like rework the story, and it got bigger than it was supposed to be, and family was involved, and it hurt. Like it was a really, really painful experience. Like I had to mourn this relationship. um so I understand what that's like and stuff. But I think I really just want to speak to us as like women, and younger women in particular, about like how we we decide somebody's friend. You know, that said, even if they're just industry friends, I told you guys that I believe Cleo, right? Even if they, because she says that she brought on the trip and the whole time she was ill treated, like the whole time people were eating behind her back and she'd be hungry, and people would act like they didn't eat but they'd all went out to eat. She alleges that she had to like carry her bags around while security was there to do that. And this is, some of you might think this is being a diva. I understood it in terms of, she's like, when we go out of like the venue or whatever, and their fans outside, they want to be greeted and whatever, and she's there having to haul bags and stuff while having to stop and take, almost like she was like on purpose being humiliated or reminded that it's Ice tour, you know, like yes, you're on here, but you're not equals. But why would she think they're equals? She knows she was invited onto the tour. And that to me brings about these dynamics in relationships we like to ignore, of the jealousy stuff that we don't want to talk about. In my Mammy dynamic video, I spoke to you guys about, I think I mentioned it because I haven't listened to that video since I put it up, really. With the diary sessions videos, sometimes I go back and I listen to them so I can hear where I was at the time. I haven't with that one. You know, that person actually was bugged by that video when I put it up. And she called, we were still friends when I put it out. And she called and she was all like, oh, is this about this? Is this about this? Blah, 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 blah. And I was so used to catering to her needs and my wanting to protect the relationship. I was like, is it bothering you? Like, I was sharing my experience here. Do you understand? Not to hurt her. I didn't mention names and things like that. And I was like, do you want me to take it down? I offered that. And she's like, yes. It's my work, mind you. I'm building a channel. And I offered to take it down. And I meant the offer. In hindsight, I'm like, fine, I should not have offered, but you know I'm trying to build a channel. Like, and you want me to take down a video that I was actually rather proud of. Like it was a very good video. Like I was being my most authentic, vulnerable self that is literally the only thing I know how to do anyway, which might be a problem. But she was like, yeah, that I need to take it down and stuff. But that particular friend had this habit of befriending girls who had similar interests to her, and not I don't know, not we like Erica Badu. No, bitch. Like we're vying for the same shit, and it's very competitive. You can't build friendships, especially in adulthood or in young adulthood, in you're both pageant girls. Very few people can truly be happy for the girl who gets crowned when you don't even make the top five, you know, or where whatever we play chess. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like making friends in those kinds of spaces where the thing that binds you is also so competitive, and one of you seems to have a more natural edge about you. You seem more naturally inclined in this way that may seem like it's easier for you, and the other person feels like they gotta grind or get it out the mud, or they don't believe in their talent, or they know they're a fluke, or they know that they're relying on their light skinnedness and colorism is what's carrying their career. Whoa, where the fuck did that come from? But in those kinds of instances where the humbling for me would come from that angle, the wanting to remind this girl that you're not this, you're not that, should come from you feeling like you're not those things. And she naturally oozes that flair. She's very commanding. Like her stage presence is insane. This girl was not even rehearsed and she could still rock a crowd. Do you understand why she got it? She's got it. Like it's not even a gimmick. Like even if she doesn't do her little, you know, what do they call that dress up style? This Bratz kind of style. What kind of core is it? What is it? It's not cottage core. I forget what it's called. It's not that. I forget now, but I had it just now. But like even without all of that like stuff, you can there's a confidence, she's in her purpose, she's in an element and it's undeniable. And when you're still trying to find your way, you might hate on that. That's all I'm hearing in the dynamic here. Right. And then we're so quick to call people friends as girls, the guys call us out all the time on this, like you guys just decide you meet some girl, you guys hang out a couple of times, you drink a couple of times, maybe you do a threesome or two, little boss, so now you hoes are saying you're besties. Those hoes always fall out. Listen, after the collaboration, because somebody tried to get me hot water and asked me how the baddies collaborate, but after the collaboration, usually the lepara chooses somebody, like somebody becomes a more regular type person, and sometimes, usually this is how it happens. Somebody's see, now the conversation is going somewhere else, and it's not supposed to go here because I'm talking about regular friendships, not the baddies. But oksalayo, all I'm saying is that we give out our friendship for cheap, or we say people are friends for very cheap without, and I think it's harder for me making friends in adulthood because I've had a lot of my friends from like the time I was a teen type thing. And that doesn't mean anything about the quality of the relationship, really. It's like any other relationship, I feel, when people say, we've been married for 53 years, they left out miserable. 53 years, it could be the same thing, right? My dynamic with that particular friend had been me giving and me showing up and me being a cheerleader for her. And the one time she didn't even need to be a cheerleader for me, but show up for me and hold my hand because we were fucking going through it over here at home. This whole chose not to do that. It's a choice that she made. Chose not to do that. And then after that, when I was like, don't come around, I'm not ready to sit down and have a conversation with your lack of how you showed up in my life, right? I'm not ready to have that conversation. She decided to cross that boundary and do what she wants anyway to ease her guilt, which is to invite herself into the space that I'm telling her not to come into so she could tell me how sorry she was. After I told her I don't want to hear that just yet. I knew in that moment that I'd made the right decision to just like divorce myself from this person, and the rest of the world can see to them. And I watched them do it to a degree with other people, right? Claim a closeness with people when it was cute. And I don't know how else to explain that. Like, claim a closeness with people when it came to celebrating their accolades in a way that didn't require her to stretch herself, right? Like, this person is winning on a big stage, and I want to tell other people that, oh, that's my friends, I know them, blah, blah, blah. But if the person is to get married and it requires her, I'm not saying that's an accomplishment, but it's a big day in, people's lives, people who choose to get married. And because it's a very specific event, I remember, and it requires her to travel, then her language is, but we're not even that close. So when she had to like spend a little bit of money to go and like show up for this person, all of a sudden it's, we're not that close. But if this same person was to be celebrated for something, she'd be the main one reposting and talk. But when she has to show up for people, there's a problem there. There seems to be an issue there. And it was hard to come to terms with that, but I did it. And I was like, oh, but if you look back all throughout your teens, that's kind of sort of been the pattern, has it not? And I had to let it go. And it's sad for other people. I've seen that, like, it's sad for people who know how we were good to each other, if you would like, how much fun we had together, like good wholesome fun, how all of that stuff, I see other people around me be more concerned and mourn that relationship more than me. Like they weren't in it, they were around it. So they have a perception of what might have been going on. But that brings me back to the thing where I say again, where I'm like, when we say we're friends with people, what do we really mean and what are the expectations in these like friendships? Like as I've gotten older and as things have been happening around me and as things have been happening around my friends and all of that stuff and what's important, what's not, like not that anything is really not important, but it's like what can I physically be there for? It gets harder. It gets harder to spread yourself among your people. So it's better to have then that smaller circle because there's only so much of you to go around now. You're older, right? You really must then rely on that discernment where you can't just decide that you and Ice like this rap shit, therefore you're friends, and you're constantly like begging her up and showing up for her because this is Cleo's chat, constantly doing this, and then you're like, but wait, is this girl ever like really shouting me out like that? Like really ever telling people that I'm on and I'm popping like that? No. Because in that dynamic, in their mind, they are who is deserving of that. You, not so much. Especially if you're a young woman, you need to pay attention to how people show up for you. And it's hard. I really, the same way you guys like, we do these things with these dudes where we give and we do that with some of these so called friends. We do. We give them chance after chance. We defend them in spaces like when people are like, oh, you're like, oh, but I don't really think she's like that. Pay attention to what they're doing to other people. Like I said with this particular friend, she didn't show up for me, and I watched her like in the same year not show up for somebody whom I thought she was so close to because she'd constantly talk about how they were so close, right? And then this person had a baby shower, they got married, and she showed up to none of these things, talking about her. Well, it's not like she's you. Like her and I aren't even that. Pay attention to that stuff and then treat people accordingly. Stop, don't stretch yourself. Give of yourself to people as much as they're giving to you and feel no way about it. Like there's a way in which I show affection that I don't expect people to show me affection in the exact same way because that's my love language. That's how I communicate love to them, right? And I don't think that makes me a better friend or that makes me anything. But then if I'm going to require something of you, um, and I don't get it, I don't need to feel any which way about feeling like that's kind of fucked up. Like I actually don't need to feel like bad about that. And I won't feel, I'm at a point where I'm just like, actually, I do kind of stretch myself for the people I love. And it doesn't feel like a stretch. It feels like love when I'm doing it. And then when it's time for certain people to show up for me in a certain way and they don't, I will be fucking keeping score. That's the time I'm on. All of this, or are you doing this because you're expecting this in return? I'm doing it because I love you, but there is an expectation for you to show up for your friends in a certain way. You don't get to just like be like, oh, it's not like we were that close. Oh, it's not like whatever. Then I guess I can cut you off. Okay, but that's it. I just wanted to talk about the female friendship dynamic. Some of these hoes are jealous of you. Some of you have had like the ops as friends forever. Like some of your biggest haters are bitches you've been friends with since you were 7. Do you understand? Like it's okay to sit down and let go of that relationship. A lot of us, even in friendships, cry for that longevity. A lot of us cry to say that number to people. It's not important. If the quality of the relationship is not there, then it's not fucking important. And everybody like you kiki with and everybody you get along with and is not your friend. You all are friendly. They're an acquaintance. That's why we have words for these, how you relate to people so that you don't get carried away. If you feel like you're above it, then you say you're building a friendship. You're working on forging a friendship of sorts. You don't just be talking like, because like Cleo goes on to then say to us, I've never really hung with her. Do you understand? I never really like, I don't know what she's like in her. You don't, this person technically has not felt safe enough to be relaxed around you, to let their guard down. So technically, you haven't even met them. You all are some industry friends, and that's no excuse for somebody to treat you any which way, even if you're not friends with them. That is no excuse whatsoever. But that's all. I also have two videos I uploaded that I haven't posted because I get overwhelmed and I need to like walk away. So when I upload them and you're like, but isn't this like 2 days old topic? I'm sorry. I mean, when I make them public. Bye, Yala.